Today, we're fearlessly questioning generosity. We're going to be talking with Tom Morkes of tommorkes.com and Insurgent Publishing. And Tom is a pioneer, I guess. He's a rebel, a renegade, a part of the resistance, or I guess a leader of a resistance somewhere on the web, tommorkes.com primarily, to pushing the limits of how we think about paying for something and how we perceive pricing and the relationship between business and customer. And it's very interesting. And the optimist in me wants to agree 100% with everything that he talks about. And for mostly what Tom talks about, I do agree. As far as some of his methods and the research that he has to back it up, it's very fascinating. But there are a few holes in it that I think, if we're not careful, I kind of see some irresponsible uses of it, and it's really just bugging me, and I have to ask the question, and I'm going to ask it today because maybe you guys want to answer it in the meantime. But if we have one job as a business, and if you have one job as a consumer, it's to know what is for free and what is for sale. And that doesn't necessarily have to have a price attached to it, but you need to be darn sure that this is something worth paying you for before you even come close to thinking about asking for money. And with living in this Kickstarter era, I think that people kind of just feel like, well, I can toss up this, that, or the other, have people contribute to this, that, or the idea. Another big site is patreon.com, and I've seen a lot of people get on that and use it for some different things. And people seem to think that, well, I'm just going to put this up and I'm going to give you a couple bonuses and really basically turn people into, really basically turning their fan base, their audience into sponsors. And that kind of freaks me out. I mean, really freaks me out, because I don't have a problem paying for something if it's going to provide me with a solution to a problem, or provide whatever I think it is that I need that thing is going to do, or whatever fulfillment I'm going to get from that, as long as it's doing that. And maybe that does it for some people. But for me, I think that's the very slippery slope that I don't want people to fall down, because I think that could ultimately, kind of tarnish this whole pay what you want generosity thing. And it is hard because, again, in working in my working in my business with my family insurance agency, I deal with people that, my services are essentially free until you actually buy the policy. Then I get paid a commission for that directly from the company. Doesn't affect the price at all, doesn't impact it. But people will all the time try and take my advice and my knowledge for free and then go buy the policy on their own. But they don't realize that they could have all the service that I provide, all of that knowledge that I can provide at no extra cost, but they think that they're getting a deal. And that, I think, is what's always going to leave people to be cautious about this and really taking hold, is that it's just too many people want to get a free deal, or just they don't want to make good on fulfilling that, offering somebody that value for their time. And again, I've seen it firsthand, so I know that it exists, and that's one of the reasons that I would be, again, slightly cautious about it. But again, too, I think that letting those people, and the way that I think about this, letting those people that are truly ultimately passionate and grateful for what you do, those people are going to support you 10 times more than that person that's going to take it for free. And that's, I think, where this thing ultimately comes down, and you succeed with it. Because just think about whatever it is that you're absolutely freaking nuts about. It could be, a band, musicians. That's one of my favorite examples. But you could be nuts about knitting cat hats. I don't know what you do in your spare time. I'm not going to ask. But ultimately, if that's what you're crazy about, and somebody is providing you the best, information, solutions, tutorials, whatever have you, on how to make the absolute best cat hats, well, then, you're going to, if they priced it at $20, you would pay the $20. But if they said, hey, listen, this is what I'm giving you here, feel free to take it for free, or, by the way, you can give me money for this, because this is, again, identifying something that is worth paying for. And, that person, I would imagine, would gladly double, if not triple, that initial whatever price point you thought you could get for that. And it's really about finding those people and doing it over and over again. And those are the people that you want to ultimately attract and ultimately, have as customers long term. So this whole static pricing really might only serve those that are just marginal or, even not so marginal customers at best. And it's a very interesting thought. That one just kind of hit me as I was talking, but really want to get into it with Tom and hear his answers for what he thinks about all of this and where he sees kind of the future of pricing and business in general. And if this is something that could work, on a much larger scale in many different areas, to where it actually becomes, I don't want to say commonplace, but it's something that becomes, like a household thing. You can, volunteer these values yourself as opposed to paying fixed prices. Again, I think this all comes down to non-commodity driven markets, but who knows? I mean, if we want to truly be disruptive, there's those passionate people all over the world about everything. So, and we're going to really get into that with Tom. That's going to be this Friday, August 8th at 2 p.m., Fearlessly Questioning Generosity. So I hope you come back for that. And if you did find any of this information helpful so far, well, I would just encourage you to, as we're getting going here, feel free to leave a rating, a review in iTunes and Stitcher. It really, apparently, from what the powers that be tell you, even though it has yet to have any concrete proof, really helps these podcasts get going. And that's really one of the best ways that we can pick up momentum to kind of help keep this thing going long term and really make this as successful as we want it to be. So if you have a minute, I know everybody begs for these things. Feel free to go and leave that rating review. And you know what? I mean, I kind of, saying I want you to review this something when it's only a couple episodes in, I mean, it's not fair. But if I want to be fearless about this and want to tell you to do something that might actually benefit you more than just, saying kind words about us, why don't you go and leave a fearless question where the review is, and start asking your own fearless questions or answering some of ours, and let's hear from you, and let's see what that does. Let's see how that moves the needle in these platforms. Let's use it as a way to show the actual value of the show and not just talk about it, actually do. And that just came to me off the top of my head, so let's see if it works. But feel free to do it, and I'll be happy to respond to you guys and get the guests to respond to your questions too if you go ahead and do that. And if I have some way to actually contact you back, so just let me know and we'll make that happen. So that's it. I'm out of here. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Again, we'll be back. Take it easy.